right, welcome to today's Zoom session on task 1 of the SCIP with talking about communications at our school and our communication systems. We're going to go ahead and start with a peer review. Anybody want to go ahead and kick that off?
I can start. I did, Keith, I reviewed your paper.
Okay.
And I thought that you did a very good job. I thought that you had a very thorough description of your needs assessment and your data supports your analysis. And you did a good job of offering the needed recommendations, for your school. I didn't know any weaknesses. I thought that it was very descriptive, and leadership was demonstrated, by creating your SCIP team. You made sure each member had an opportunity to share their knowledge about the communication system at your school. I didn't really see too many errors. I saw maybe a few errors. You might just want to read it. You might have an S word or something like that. Nothing major.
Okay.
And then I didn't know about the organization. I just noted that in your for prompt 2, where you broke down your analysis and you talked about your weaknesses, I noticed that the headings were lowercase. I don't know if they were supposed to be lowercase, and they had a period. So you might want to.
Well, what was it again?
It's the prompt 2, in the section where you did data analysis.
Yeah. Well, with the headings, we talked about the headings.
Right. You
Okay.
had school leadership assessment, and then underneath it, you had strengths and then weaknesses, and they're not capitalized. I didn't know it needed to be.
Yeah.
But that was it. I thought overall you did a pretty. I was very impressed with the participants on your SCIP team as well. You had a good amount of people on there to help you.
Yeah, I was able to kind of wrangle those up before the end of the year a little bit, but I mean, some of them were here and there. We never got to meet at all. It was just straight, through email here and there, and nobody was ever in a room at the same time because of all those participants. So,
right.
I did Calandra's paper, and Calandra, as usual, very detailed. I always like your opening because you, like me, I get straight to the point where you give all this background information, very detailed. I like how you detailed the participants on your SCIP team, for example. Instead of, like, on mine, I just said PTO president, but you went into detail, like she's a stay-at-home mom, You kind of gave the whys as far as why you thought she was would be a good person for the team and stuff like that. So I thought that was good. The survey you used, the State Department survey, which was a reminder for me to also use the State Department survey, was a good reference, as well as the Title I survey. Very detailed, very much outlined. The only thing I would suggest in that part is to see if you can make a correlation between the two surveys, because you just kind of gave the analysis separately to see if there's any similarities or differences regarding that. I didn't see any errors. And of course, you had your references outlined. I think you showed great leadership in pulling that team together, especially this time of year, and leading that group. So that was my overall review.
Well, thank you. I had Tamika's paper. I thought you did an awesome job with explaining your purpose and your needs assessment, where you showed you identified your gaps within the communities, and as also for your development of your team and analysis of your findings. I thought you did a great job of the survey data that you were able to include inside your paper, talking about your 11th grade population and demographics. You also you were able to express, to show the school and the home relations by your providing a percentage there with the 78.9% of students that were satisfied with their school and home relationships. I thought you did a great job of incorporating the statistics there, or the number of surveys that were completed by the teachers, the students, and the parents, and talking about the learning environment and the problems that they had, or what they were satisfied with. And I also, like, you had a plethora of charts that will help kind of shape and paint your picture there of where your gaps will be and where you can continue to give your recommendations. Also, I thought you showed leadership in not only gathering this information, but constantly being in communication with these persons on your committee. There were no critical areas to note, just maybe read back over to maybe embed more about, like, talking about your employee engagement survey, just more so going into detail about that. But other than that, I thought you did a great job.
And that was pulling teeth. That survey is very detailed, but
I can tell.
I
Yeah.
knew what I had to do to get it. It's a good,
Yeah.
and it's like a 100-page document. He still only pulled out certain pages to send me. I'm just like, okay, whatever.
Right.
But anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank
Mm.
All right. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say I can go or you can go, whichever one.
You can go ahead.
All right. Well, I reviewed Candace's paper, and I thought that, like I said, kind of reiterated from the whole group. I think that everybody really did a great job with the SCIP task 1. I said that for content, I said that your narrative thoroughly describes all the sections in the prompt 1 and prompt 2. Your needs assessment describes the gaps in communication and gives viable ways to fix those gaps with long-term, short-term goals and to help with communication. And it seemed like your transitions went well from each section to each section whenever you're doing that. Your setting from before, that setting is very thorough because you've been using that for each paper, and that setting really paints a picture. And it was great because with the report card data that you used with all the figures, whenever you put all the figures in it, it really kind of tied everything together with the setting and how the report card data really kind of tied everything together this time with the details. Your strengths, I said that you expertly describe each section, which will give you a 4 in each section. You provided good details for your SCIP team and the role of each member on the team. And I also said, like I said, with this, I think that we all did a really good job with putting the figures in the narrative this time instead of putting them all in the end in the appendix. I think we did a great job with that, and I really like the figures and all that. You broke down the data and described how the data affected your decision from your short-term and your long-term communication goals. And I thought that you using your survey data from your teacher empowerment survey, from the 3 questions from the empowerment survey, was a great idea too, because you could use that information and it kind of tells you, kind of ties things together about your collaboration and your stuff from your empowerment survey that you already sent out. Weaknesses, I said the only thing with those 3 questions is that it says collaboration and that sort of stuff, maybe just not tied completely to communication, home communication. Like, it seemed like it was tied more to your stakeholders and your internal stakeholders, but maybe the communication questions, those 3 that were provided, maybe elaborate a little bit and go a little bit more home to school communication instead of just.
I put those in the part about leadership. I thought we were evaluating the school leadership in that section.
I gotcha. I didn't know if it was the school leadership or it was it was all internal. See, I took it as all stakeholders, but if it was just on all internal stakeholders at that point in time, then you did a great job with that too.
Okay,
So,
that was my understanding. I don't know.
Gotcha.
I'll reread it, but I thought that it said
that we were only establishing
school leadership. And then when I kind of looked at the other people in North Carolina had that nice online,
I know they do,
teacher survey. And when I looked at it, their questions were kind of geared toward just school leadership and how teachers feel about school
Yeah,
leadership.
the North Carolina one, that report card that they have for North Carolina was fantastic. The one we have is like 3 questions, and that's it. Yeah, we don't have that much. So other than that, like I said, leadership, your SCIP team or your SCIP team leadership, that was great. and you assign your roles to each team and optimize the different members' skill sets. And your mechanics grammar was good. Organization, it flowed very well. And I thought your APA formatting was the one thing that I noticed about the headings also. I think it just must have been a heading hiccup, but some of your headings were italicized, and the same headings were not. They were all bolded, but some of them were italicized and some of them were not italicized.
Okay.
So maybe I think in the prompt 2, I think you had not italicized, but in prompt 1 you italicized. So maybe just go back and make it uniform throughout, and I think that's it. So other than that, it was great. It was very well done, very thorough. So.
Okay. Lastly,
I have a question for clarification.
I'm sorry.
I just had a clarification question. When we include the charts and everything within the paper, do we also have to put it in the appendix? Do we have to do both?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I stopped.
Okay.
I thought that we did. That's what Dr. Stemmons said to do. Then Dr. Talent was like, "Don't do it." So
Yeah. Well, I looked at that AP OWL template or whatever it is, that OWL Purdue or whatever it is, and then their example paper has the figures in the narrative, but then it doesn't reference them in the appendix.
Okay.
So almost I don't know why that you would do it twice, but maybe they do. So.
Okay.
Okay. I did Heath's paper as well. I concur with all that's been said about it. The only thing that I would add is the part about the content. One of the things I found really interesting about your work was the fidelity checks, making sure that what's being said or what's being communicated or supposed to be communicated is actually being communicated. And in that, I said you correctly identified an issue and then promptly solved the issue with fidelity checks. And I think that also ties into showing leadership, and didn't find any weaknesses there. And I think that's really all I was gonna add there. If the grammar is fine. There's no weaknesses that I know.
Cool. Thank you. A couple 2 a.m. nights there, I wasn't quite sure about how the grammar was sounding after about 2 a.m. So.
I do have one more question too. As far as the communication, did you I didn't get a chance to look at your entire paper, Heath, and I glanced over yours, Candace. Did y'all talk about like leadership's communication with employees as well? Or did you just focus on school-home relations?
I did that, and prompt 2 is where I talked about school, where I evaluated school leadership.
Okay.
So I put how teachers felt about
the communication there, right?
Okay. Internal communication.
Okay. Yeah. The reason why, and that's why I asked about that, because that came up on our SCIP team a lot. Like, they felt like there were some holes there in communication. Like, and I see it. Like, if you were a new teacher at our school, I'm sorry for you, because it's like everybody's in their own lane, and then full force. Like, okay, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do it. Like, when I got there, it was like, I'm thankfully, there was for me to say, okay, this is how you do this job. So I kind of had to figure it out on my own, but at the same time, I felt bad for those new teachers out there, because how do I support them? And I can only do my role. So I do feel like I want to continue to address. I was trying to figure out where. Okay, well, we're going to end it here. It has been an adventure getting to this recording, and not only that, but our assignments are done. So I will make sure that this is emailed to you all, and then we can post our team reviews. Okay. All right. Y'all have a great day. I'll look for that email within an hour.
All right. See ya.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.